All right, welcome back to the 39 Days podcast. I'm Alex. That is Andrew.
What's going on, man?
And today we are talking about episode 8 of Survivor 41. Andrew, how you doing?
Doing well, man. We're a little late getting this episode
Little
out,
bit.
but we're still happy to be here.
Yeah.
We're not gonna miss a lot to catch up on. So we wanted to make sure we got an episode out ahead of this upcoming week's episode.
Yeah, so we got a lot to dive into, but first off, this episode, like you said, a lot happened, and we kind of had our first big vote off of the season, I think.
Yeah, and let's specify, a lot happens in every episode, right? But I think a lot worth talking about.
Yes.
So much so that we were thinking of maybe just kicking the can down the road. Schedules were tough to get this episode out this week, but I think it's worthwhile us going through everything because there is a lot that's going to set up the next few weeks. So I guess let's just get right into it.
Yeah, so this one kind of started off, they had the reward challenge where they basically drew rocks to see who would sit out, essentially, because there's 11 people. They split into 5 teams of 2, and what do you know, Erica draws the sit out rock because she is cursed.
She's running the gambit with that.
She got lucky though because Xander was nice enough to volunteer.
Well, lucky or unlucky, depending on your perspective, right?
Because they did something that I really like, which is Jeff kind of talking to the camera, like right as they're about to come in, and showing that he put a advantage on the sit out bench, which I really like how they're kind of incorporating that in with him while they're on set actually going through and talking about what he's doing. I think that's a really good twist that they're adding.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of breaking the fourth wall. And not just before they come in. There was, I forget, it was either this past episode or the week before where he kind of spoke to the audience as they were, I think it was
the week before. Leaving. It was the first merge episode.
And then again this week after, because he hit an advantage, it wasn't found, and then he went in anyway. He's like, "Oh, let's see if they got it." Nothing, held it up. It's like opportunity missed.
I don't know how Xander didn't see it because they specifically showed him looking underneath the bench, like he was looking for something to be there. And
I was so sure that when he made that move to give up his spot in the challenge to Erica, that he was going to look.
I honestly thought he said that and they would have like cut back to a black and white thing of him being like, yeah, the second we got there, I was looking at the sit out bench thinking, and I saw this little piece of paper there. So I knew that had to have been an idol or something like that.
Yeah. And what was his explanation behind it? He basically said, I like to be with the losers. Because by him sitting out, he couldn't.
It was something like that. Yeah,
I like to be with losers because it creates more conversation, more opportunity, and people are. I think
it was like people are more emotional then, so they'll be more sloppy and spill more, something like that.
Yeah,
which I guess is it's a good strategy from his side, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't really know what his game plan was there.
Well, ultimately, it didn't pay out for him, right?
Yeah.
And he looked, to his credit, and I was so sure. I was thinking, like, this is it. Game-changing move. This guy's been making so many smart plays the past few weeks. This is just going to be another feather in his cap at the end of the game, and couldn't pull it off. But let's talk about the challenge, because ultimately we saw some feats of unathleticism. A lot of belly flop dives, and ultimately a challenge that was put away in a matter of an eye blink by Evie. Yeah. So again, you had, what was it? It was, I want to say Shan, Ricard, Evie, Erica,
someone else,
maybe one other I'm forgetting.
And then it was like Shan, Tiffany, Heather,
Nasir for sure, because they showed him getting all the fruit back at camp.
Someone else. Yeah, I don't remember. for the record, we're recording this on the Monday after it aired. So
we got to refresh our memories here.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be back in a couple days,
We
more
should
in
be.
line with this week's episode.
Yeah.
But interesting thing happened when they get back to camp. The losers, they make a whole point of not being satisfied with the one scoop of rice they're getting. And yeah, they can always scavenge. I think it was Shan said, oh, I don't want to just eat a fish, blah, 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 blah. But Nasir goes and collects like 7 or 8 giant papayas, which I'm thinking like there's got to be an abundance of that. They don't show it enough, but there's got to be stuff like that readily available.
And that's one thing that I always think. It's like they always make a show of every season where it's like it seems like one person goes out and collects like a giant thing of fruit and brings it back, and everyone's all so grateful and stuff. But fruit
You're in the jungle.
They're in the jungle. Yeah, it's not a rare thing. It's like,
right now, we're not going to say they're going to be feasting every night, but they should be able to eat more than just a scoop of rice.
Yeah, they should be able to find stuff in there. And obviously, we don't know. We've never actually been on the show, but I would think that Nasir didn't just go out and happen to stumble across all this stuff for the first time. Like, they're at the Luvu beach. You would think he would have seen everything.
Yeah.
Out of all people, he would be the one to know where everything was. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just another tree, a papaya tree that he found. But you're right. I feel like there's got to be a lot more like fruit eating and just stuff like that they're not really showing on camera.
Yeah,
but
and they talk about them being sick and tired of eating coconut all the time. I would,
which
too,
I
but
could
if that's
totally
all you
understand.
have. Figure it out, right?
It's one thing eating something like 2 or 3 days in a row and then just kind of, eating, say, a coconut a day or half a coconut a day. That's probably not as much as they're getting. But when you're eating coconut for 2 weeks straight and nothing but coconut for 2 weeks straight, then it can kind of get a little repetitive.
Yeah. I would think you need some kind of reward every once in a while just to cleanse your palate.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the papaya, right? Awesome that they had some additional sustenance to put in their body, and Ricard is on
caused some controversy.
Which, look, come on. I get the whole, oh, well, you won, you got to eat. But Shan, I think, is really starting to rub some people the wrong way, and particularly someone who she should have been aligned with from the get-go in Ricard. Like, why was it such a big deal that he took one tiny little piece of fruit just because he had already eaten more than everyone else had? It wasn't like they were starving for every last bite and he took something that someone was like, I need that or else I'm going to collapse. If that was the case, fine. But it seemed like they had sufficient fruit there. And he took one tiny little piece because he was curious. Like, who cares?
So I get what you're saying. My immediate reaction was he walks in after they managed to find all this, after they had just had their food reward, and for him to just kind of walk over and immediately just go over and take some, it was not that big of a deal, but it was still very rude. Like, you're just coming back from a food reward. You're just going to go over and take the food from the people that
like maybe he could have said, hey, can I try a piece?
Yeah, at least ask. But or say something instead of just reaching down and taking it.
Didn't rub me as firmly as some other people.
It didn't surprise me. It's very on board with Ricard's way of acting this season because he's had a very above everyone else attitude, and for him to just walk in and think that he can just take whatever he wants like that without asking, that didn't surprise me. I just was like, really?
Yeah, but we need to get more into obviously that dynamic, which we've gone ad nauseum about over the past few weeks. It seems like they've been working together the whole time, but they just don't seem to be getting along in the way they like a power couple would. And obviously she's branching out. She's making some additional alliances with Liana and some of the others. But an interesting dynamic was her and Deshaun this week, and him getting pretty frustrated in that he felt like he wasn't being heard, that he was trying to express his own opinions, his own strategies, and she was just steamrolling him, which to his credit, he's right. And
he's very right. Yeah.
I get what she's doing. She's trying to play the, hey, if we're going to make a bunch of moves, I want them to be my moves. I want to
Yeah.
be the one who is holding the puppet strings the whole time because it makes her look good. But
Yeah.
you can't get to the end if you just shun everyone else out and you just bulldoze them.
Yeah. No, she's had, like we've said before, she's had a very good strategy this whole time, and she was able to put it in place when she was on Oa because she had like the majority each time and she was in control. But now she's on a tribe of 12 people. She does not have the control, and she's not playing with people that are just going to let her steamroll them. So she has to kind of change her strategy to go from I'm the one in charge, this is what's going to happen. Ricard's on my side, everyone else be on my side or you're going to die.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think Shen hasn't done a good job of adjusting to is people management,
Yeah.
which when there's a larger group, you have to float in that for a while. You could still be in control. You can still be the one making the decisions, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't be a dictator, so to speak, in that it's your way or the highway. And I think she got caught up in that a little bit. And again, for the second week in a row, she rubbed people the wrong way. There
Yeah.
was a whole scene with her and Heather, like, well, we're just going to throw your name out, but don't worry, you're not going to get voted out. And Heather did catch what one or two votes, and she
Well,
made a whole deal of
there was
like
other
you're
reasons behind
right, but
that.
like you're gonna throw out my name. I'm not going to sit here and take it.
She
And
was
it just seemed
very
like
yeah,
there was
it
enough people who were what's the word I'm looking for, but who were actually fired up
annoyed.
to actually go at Shan and an opportunity to vote her out, and it just hasn't
Yeah.
materialized yet.
And that's the one thing. I think she's been very careless since the merge. Like you said, she was meeting with everyone and just saying, okay, we want to throw a fake name out there. This is who we're going to vote for. And she just throws Heather with Heather right there. Like,
But it
it's
was a
one.
bunch. She said, "Oh, we're going to split the votes between Tiffany and Xander," and then it
Yeah.
was, "Hey, we're going to throw some votes on this person," and then it seemed like it was a there was more to
It's like
what happened than we saw.
she comes up with all these ideas and then just kind of spits them out and sees what sticks.
Hmm.
But she doesn't kind of play damage control to the point where she knows who she's talking to.
But there was some level of coordination that we didn't see, and I was kind of frustrated watching it because when you get to the end, they faction off. Heather,
Yeah.
fast forward to tribal, she said, "Well, what if we throw out? What if we change it to Nasir, right?" And then they said, "Oh, well, what if we just vote for Heather, right?" And
Mm-hmm.
then you had two groups of another live tribal,
Well, because
Shan and the majority
okay,
of people on one side, and then Deshaun's on the other side, and then they're just like, "Oh, we just go with the plan." Oh, no, you don't need to
yeah,
tell me, I got it. And it ended up being which we'll get into who it was voted out, but there seemed to be no communication of
there
how
was
they got
none
there. So
at
there must have
all.
been a bunch of other conversations that they kind of had multiple plans, and they said, "Well, if this happens, this is what we're going to do." And we didn't get to see that they were all in lockstep because they voted the correct way.
Yeah.
6 out of 11 people voted for the person who got sent home, and it didn't seem like there was enough to coordinate that at tribal.
So my one thing about this tribal is obviously we'll get into it right now, but Heather kind of last second wanted to switch the vote off of her to Nasir, and Shan just decided, okay, she's trying to screw everything up. Let's just vote for her. It did not work very well because of the lack of communication. And my entire takeaway is that Heather has absolutely no idea what she's doing. Because I think, and I might be completely wrong on this, but I really think the way that she went about that was very, very sloppy because she waited until the last possible second to kind of stop Jeff from saying, okay, we need to vote. Because he literally was like, okay, is there anything that needs to happen? Okay, anything at all. And then she went, okay, I need time. And then just goes over and starts whispering to random people like, vote for Nasir, vote for Nasir, vote for Nasir. And I don't understand what her plan was because I really like the idea of last second switching it to Nasir, even if it was a last second of, I don't, I feel uncomfortable. I don't want them to vote for me. I want them to vote for someone else. Or if it was her trying to last second switch it so Nasir wouldn't use his idol. I like that plan. I think either way, that was a good idea. She just executed it unbelievably badly.
Yeah, and I agree in that I was disappointed by her gameplay. It did seem like she was laying in the weeds for the first half of the game, and then she started getting some traction in camp before they went to tribal council. And I'm thinking like, all right, is she finally going to start playing this game and actually make something happen? Like, let's go. I'm all
Yeah.
for it. And then her strategy kind of flopped on itself at tribal. But one thing I will say, because you did mention flushing out Nasir's idol, they had an opportunity to flush out his idol, to flush out Xander's idol, to flush out Xander's extra vote. Obviously, Shan has the other idol too, that if she's in control, they don't have to worry about that. But there was a lot of opportunity to remove power from other players in the game, and none of it happened.
Well, that's
And
another thing. Ricard kept trying to get Xander to flush his idol with absolutely no reasoning behind it.
yeah,
All
I
this
was
stuff was all
confused
this
by
stuff
that.
was going on where they're like, okay, who are we going to vote for? Because it's between Tiffany and Heather and Nasir, and Ricard's leaning over to Xander like, hey, play your idol, play your idol. It's good. Play your idol, saying nothing else other than you really got to play your idol, as if like Xander's going to look at him and be like, you're not my ally. Why are you trying to get me to play the idol? It's obviously you trying to flush it out. Like, I don't understand this Ricard's idea there. He's just saying, play the idol, play the idol, play the idol.
I was very confused by that too. And he almost seemed sad when he was like, dude, please play your idol.
It was like, please.
Yeah, and so I didn't know if he was just if it was just a really bad acting job of like, oh my God, you're in trouble. You need to do this. I value you as a number, and you're going to get voted out. You need to use the idol. Or if he legitimately did think that Xander was in trouble, and he was so detached from the vote. But you look at where he voted. Let me pull up the actual voting of it. Because
I really think he was
in the he was one of the 6 that voted for Tiffany.
Yeah,
he was in line with the strategy. So
yeah,
if he's trying to get Xander to play that idol, he was just
the entire time they were trying to create paranoia between Xander and Tiffany because they knew it would be one of them that would be voted out because Evie won immunity and they wanted it to be Xander or Tiffany. So because they knew Xander had the idol, they wanted to make one of them think it was going to be the other one, which ended up happening because Xander and Tiffany confronted each other and they both said, I think it's going to be me. And then that kind of drove them crazy because Xander didn't know who to use his idol on.
Let's actually go back real quick to the immunity challenge because you mentioned it. Evie's kind of getting on a heater, which I don't think it's going to last unless she starts pulling some numbers. But good on her for having an awesome week. She solved the puzzle in an eye blink for the Roar challenge,
and then won immunity.
And I think a lot of what they teased in the first half of the episode was, well, we got to get her out now. She made this whole spectacle last time.
Yeah.
And now that advantage, well, they know the idol wasn't played, but we kind of know where it's going to go. Let's either flush out Xander's idol if he's going to use it on her again, or hey, those 3. The Yasa original all hate each other, which I don't think was the case. But let's break that up and vote out Evie. And then, of course, all that was blown up when she won immunity.
The way that they kind of said it in the beginning of the episode, how you said is like the 3 of them hate each other. I did not get that.
No, me neither.
Like, they don't hate each other. They were still working together, but they realized that it was 3 against 9, with the other 3 saying, yeah, we need to get them out. Mm-hmm. So the 3 of them just kind of went off by themselves to try and fend for themselves because
it is very odd that the Luvu and the Uas would work together. I think they must still not realize how powerful Shan and Ricard are.
I don't think they do,
because there's so much opportunity to get them out. And I get Shan has a couple of alliances now that she can pull some numbers, but I still don't understand why it was just like, let's just go for the Yasa 3. Like, whatever, it's fine.
I don't get why. Like, this has been such a season of everyone wanting to make a big move and to do the big thing to kind of set them over the top, and they're just going to go for the easy vote in Tiffany.
It's times like this that I wish someone like JD had made the merge, because he would have been playing a little more crazy, and maybe we would have seen some move. I agree that people are playing. Either you want to call it conservative, you just want to say they're not seeing the bigger picture. But
I
picking
think that's
off
what
the low-hanging fruit when there's 10, 11, 12 people left, I don't necessarily think it's a good move. That's when you have a lot of numbers, is when you can move a mass to get out some people. And then you worry about whittling it down afterwards. That's where you really got to play the game. But if you get to 7 and Shan has her plus 4 others, like they're done. You're done.
Oh
You're
yeah.
done. You're done.
No, once you're at 7, once you're down to like 8, 7, 6, that's when you can start just picking people off. But when you have this many people and it's a lot of unknowns and there's a lot of people that have power, you want to take out the big threats and not just pick people off. You want to take out the people that are going to be, challenging you. If you know that you are a big threat in the game, like Shan, like Xander, you want to be the one to take out the other threat because you know they're your biggest competition. If you're with a group of 4 and there's 2 people left, in the end, in the final 6, you can just take out those 2 and just be like, yeah, this is fine. I'll just go up against in the end.
And it's so obvious who's running this game. They made a point of saying, hey, black players aren't represented well enough in this game. Let's all work together. And then they made a point of meeting in broad daylight multiple times on the beach. And like other people watching that would have been like, okay, so Shan's working with Danny and Deshaun.
And Liana's over there too.
Yeah. Well, they already knew Liana, right? But it's like, she got them too. Like that's you see that she has half the tribe in her back pocket. Like that. Like they didn't hide it. And then they made a point of her going all dictator at the immunity challenge. When remember Jeff posed the, hey, if 5 of you sit out, I'll give up Rice and me. She's like, oh, I'll do it. So like, come on, everyone else do it.
She's getting mad at everyone else for not doing it when everyone else
because she
we
knew
don't
she wasn't
feel
gonna
safe.
win. And B, she wanted more reason. Like, look, I'm going to make every big move. So then when I get to the final, you can't not vote me the winner. Like,
I think that should have been the biggest wake up call for everyone, because the second Shan stepped out and got mad at everyone else for not doing it, that's when everyone else should have realized, okay,
into it.
She thinks she's perfectly safe. And then they would have had like a light bulb moment of, she thinks she's perfectly safe because she has the power to be perfectly safe. So now's the perfect time to get her out. That's what I would have done.
When someone feels that confident, that's usually when their shields are down.
Yeah.
And even if she has the advantage, the extra vote and an idol, that's a time you can use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're not doing that.
No.
But let me just mention something, because I think we were talking about it maybe 2 weeks ago, that if it got to a merge, you're usually going to get an endurance challenge. I'm kind of bummed for Sydney's sake because she just got voted out.
Sydney would have
for sure she would have won that
so easily. Yeah.
And good on Evie for I did not peg her as someone who had the endurance.
Well, so I mean, Jeff did say it only lasted like 4 minutes.
Yeah. But I feel like if there was anyone who would have won that challenge,
it was Sydney.
Going away, Sydney would have been well positioned. And of course, he just
and Nasir said too that if he had taken part in it instead of stepping out, he would have won. And I could have seen that too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he did sit out.
Yeah, and Nasir's the type of guy that I think he doesn't look all that like physically imposing, but he just looks like the type of person.
What did he say? He has flat feet, so that would have given him an advantage
flat feet and
there.
Chicken legs. Yeah. But you can tell he has endurance. He's not giving up. He's going to have to physically drop from an endurance challenge before he just gives in.
Right. And in this case, he voluntarily took himself out. So they do have a bag of rice, but at this point, I think
it's not that much, though. It's not like it's enough to last the end of the game. It's just a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like, if that was me and I was in the position of basically anyone except for Shan, I wouldn't have stepped out. Even if I didn't think I had a chance to win that one, I still would have stayed in and tried, because you don't know. Like we said,
even Heather stayed in.
Yeah. You didn't peg Evie to win that. She won it. You didn't peg Heather to be a final 2 person in that. She was the person that fell out to give Evie the immunity. That's not a type of challenge that has a clear cut winner. So none of the endurance challenges really do, because as much endurance as they all kind of test different aspects of like the human body.
Yeah,
so
it's willpower too. Especially
exactly.
If you know you're up against it, you can dig deep in a way that supersedes your own physical capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if that was me, I wouldn't have stepped out.
Oh, I would never do that. Unless you're either so confident you have zero chance of winning and you're desperate for a big move that you can maybe pull some sympathy points from people, I would
Yeah.
never step out of a challenge. But
If it was one of the ones where it's like, here's a giant plate of burgers and stuff, and I felt so safe that I felt I would have done it.
but even that, one thing that they don't talk about enough, but when there's almost too much food,
Yeah.
and you're not eating more than a scoop or two of rice every day, you eat a lot, you're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
You're gonna throw up from eating
There
a
was
normal
one
sized
season
meal.
that happened. I
Yeah.
forget which one. It was in the earlier ones though, where there's a reward challenge and everyone got sick because they ate too much. Because you eat a scoop of rice a day, your stomach's going to kind of shrink,
Mhm.
and it's not going to get used to that amount of food, and all of a sudden you're just throwing this stuff in to your mouth, just eating as much as you can because you're starving.
Yeah.
You're getting sick immediately.
And you tack on, maybe there's a little alcohol there too, that kind of
That's not going to help
slows
either.
your
Yeah.
response time for you realizing you're full, and you just go way past. And then, like, look, you Thanksgiving is coming up, right? I'm sure you've ate past your capability, and you just sit there and you kind of just slowly digest and hate your life, right?
Yeah, you're just kind
But
of
now
sitting
imagine
there
you
like,
starved yourself
oh
the
boy.
3 weeks before then, and you ate that same amount of food. There's no
Yeah,
way you're
exactly.
maintaining that.
Well, and that goes back to the point we're making, where it's like, it's not a Thanksgiving feast that we're saying we're going to give up for. It's a little bag of rice that just
Right.
like, yeah, this will last you a couple days. I get
Right.
that they're starving and that they're hungry and they want rice, but I think if anything, this episode proved that they can find food other places like Nasir did.
And you never really know how this game's going to play out, because Tiffany didn't win the challenge, ended up being voted out.
Yeah.
But if one of the 4 people who sat out stayed in, maybe they beat Evie. Maybe Evie
gets voted out.
Is going, and then that the complete course of the next few weeks has changed because of that. So you don't actually know. There's a lot of what happens in this game.
Yeah.
You can't follow
there's a lot of
the predetermined outcome. But
especially with this episode, there's a lot of what ifs of something that could have happened, because there's a lot of different ways this episode could have gone, and ultimately it ended with them kind of taking the easy way out and just voting Tiffany out.
Which, again, we got one interesting vote. I think it was last week, right? With the Sydney one, just because there was an extra vote and she played her shot in the dark and it was kind of chaos. But 4 or 5 of the last however many votes have just seemed to be, oh, well, that's a boring vote.
Yeah.
Wow. No one's really trying to shake up the game.
This one was a boring vote too, because it was majority for Tiffany, even though it was a few for Heather, a few for
the vote
Nasir.
was 6-2-2-1.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember the last time 4 people got votes at a tribal. 3 you see.
3 you see, especially if they're trying to split it up.
I think you had Heather caught 1, Xander and Nasir both got 2.
Got 2.
And then Tiffany got the last 6.
Yeah. But to me, like I said earlier on, this was like the first big vote, because Tiffany was kind of the first big merge person voted out, because I guess you could say Sydney was not really a member of the merge, because even though it was the entire merge there, she technically didn't make it.
And she's not on the jury either.
Tiffany's on the jury. So I think this is the first big vote of the season, because Tiffany was a very vocal person this season.
Yep.
She had a very big presence in this season. So
I just don't know if she got to lay the groundwork of the game she wanted to play.
No, I don't think she did either, but I think she's
the kind of person who would have gotten dangerous the longer they let her linger.
Yeah, she had potential. So,
but I will say, I don't know who of our listeners goes in and regularly watches the Ponderosa videos. Those are one of my favorites. She was the perfect person for that. Yeah. So if you haven't gotten a chance, quick find it on YouTube or CBS.com. I think it's like an 8-minute video. But she's just so funny in that, and the perfect person to be the first person that, I mean, she was like, well, I hope they all get voted out. I'm going to come in and laugh in their face when they show up next week. It's just like,
it's funny.
She's not really spiteful about it, but I think she's a little bit.
I think she was a little spiteful, and you can't blame her. No. You know, she really, the amount of crap she caught the last few weeks or so, just because she was on a tribe of 4 against 6 and 2. Like, they went into the merge and she was immediately just singled out, as were Xander and Evie, which is, like we've said time and time again, we don't get it because you had two easy vote outs in Shan and Ricard, and instead of just taking them out and trying to do something with the other four where there were obvious cracks because everyone wanted Xander out, you just target those four and just kind of absorb the other two who obviously knew what they were doing because they outlasted four other people in their tribe.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I don't understand the idea behind there. And maybe it's the whole,
I'm gonna be sitting here just beating the drums, stomping my foot when we finally get one of these big Puppet Masters voted out. And I really hope it doesn't take till the final 5 to get there.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like I don't like any of them. Like if Shan was to win, if Ricard was to win, if Liana was to win, it would good for them, right?
You'd,
like
you'd respect their gameplay. Yeah.
I don't have any personal animosity against any of these players, but as a fan at home, I want to. I'm always wired to root for the underdog, and when someone establishes themselves as top dog early, and then they're so blatant and arrogant about it, and I'm sitting there like, why are we not knocking the king off the castle? Like, what are you doing? Like, the opportunity's right here. I live for those type of moments, and it's just not happening.
Well, especially one of the best, arguably the best moment of this season was when Liana tried to use the knowledge power advantage of Xander, and he gave her a fake idol.
Yeah,
like that. She was so arrogant about that, and he stuck it right to her. And maybe it's different for other people, but you and I especially love watching the people on the top get taken over by the people on the bottom.
Yeah,
the underdog stories are the best thing in this show. So seeing all these people on the top continuing to be on the top, and the people on the bottom either not trying to do anything about it or not being successful in doing anything about it, I
don't even think they're trying. I think they're blissfully unaware that they have an opportunity to completely upend the game, and they're just not doing it.
They're just not.
If they all got together, if Xander, Evie, Tiffany, Heather, Nasir, and Erica all got together, that's 5 right there. You only need one other person to be like, "Hey, what if we
it's like the lines were drawn between the Yasa and the other 7 or 8, actually, because Liana's over there for some reason, and everyone just got the 3 Yasa just got shunned. And like, all right, you 3 are the ones that are designated for execution, and after that, we'll just figure it out after.
Well, listen, I'm really hoping the game gets blown up this week. Because Jeff's teaser for the strategy test, this week's game within the game, was different. And I don't know if he's just kind of baiting us to think about something or if he's kind of giving away what happens. But he does say, hey, what would you do if you're at a merge and the game kind of gets divided? So whether it's for a single challenge or for 2 or 3 days, now, are they going to split back into 2 tribes, or are they just going to maybe split up into 2 groups for an immunity challenge, and there's going to be 2 winners, and each individual subgroup is going to go to tribal, and they'll have one person immune in there, and they're each going to vote on one person?
Yeah. One of the things I really love that they have not done a lot on this show is when they kind of split if there's a merge and you split them down the middle, because there's 10 people left now.
Yes.
So you split them down the middle, do 5 and 5, and have each of those 5 vote someone out. And I think that would cut the kind of the episodes down, because you said they're
going to have to.
There's 12 episodes in this season. There's 4 left. There's 10 people left. They're going to have to do something where they do a type of double elimination. Otherwise, they're going to be voting 6 people out in the finale.
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity for something like that. So what really ups the intrigue is if they do such a split this week. So either it's for a single challenge, even if it's just a reward challenge, right? And then maybe who knows what conversations are had there, or if it's for an immunity challenge and 2 sets of 5 are both going to go to tribal with 2 individuals safe, where is the line drawn
Yeah.
that can potentially fracture some alliances. Like we said, someone like Shan is well connected, but what if, let's say, what if Liana ends up on a tribe with Heather, Erica, Xander, and Evie? Like she's done.
Yeah, she's
Like she's
done.
done. She's done. She doesn't have an advantage
You know, the
anymore.
thing
An
is that we'd
advantage.
like to think she was done, but for all
Shan
we
could give
know,
her idol, right? Like, yeah,
Shan would give her idol, and then all of a
maybe.
sudden Liana would walk in and convince the others to just be like, we're the original Yasa. Let's get rid of Erica, and then Erica's gone, and you're sad.
Which I think if there's anyone that Liana would have gone back to work with from the original Yasa, it was probably Tiffany, and
Yeah,
that bridge is
that
dissolved
bridge
now.
is very burned.
So
And one thing I like that Tiffany's on the jury now is she's definitely not the type of person that's gonna let go of a grudge anytime soon.
oh
She's
god,
gonna
no.
if the finals are, say it's Liana, Shan, and say Heather. She's not gonna vote for Heather because Heather hasn't done anything. She's not gonna vote for Liana because Liana completely backstabbed the entire Yasa tribe. I'm using chapstick as a pointer and it's making my point for me. She's going to vote for Shan because Shan was the one who kind of masterminded everything. Because you think that it's between those two. One of them backstabbed her own tribe for her own personal gain. The other one was just playing the game and just happened to come across an opportunity where she could not backstab, but she could vote Tiffany out. Obviously, that's going to happen. So I think
I personally don't hate those vengeful votes. A lot of times, if
I don't either. I
if
think
someone I like or someone I want to win is in the final 2 or 3, and I know that the jury doesn't like them, I'll be like, "Oh, come on! What are you holding a grudge for? Like, come
yeah,
on! How about the gameplay they played? You should give them your vote." But in reality, like that's the kind of bed you
that's the whole point of the
it's
jury is
the
there's going
bed
to
you
be some
make when
emotion
you play this
involved.
game. Because
Yeah,
ultimately you had a hand in voting out every single person on the jury, and
yeah,
then the game flips to that those people now control your fate, whether
yeah,
or not you win. And I like that they can still be bitter about it
yeah.
3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, and be like, no, you gave me the raw end of the deal. I'm not gonna reward you with $1 million.
And one thing that I've always not really liked about people who watch the show is there's been a lot of like reviews and stuff where tribals have been like, yeah, they were in the final tribal, they were so bitter about it. Like, you can be bitter. This is a game for $1 million and you got screwed out of it because someone was selfish. Like, you
Sure.
can be bitter all you want. You know, it's just a game, but it's a game that could change your life
Yeah, it's
if
not
you
like
win it.
it's not like you're at a dinner party. You guys
Yeah.
are playing Monopoly, like, oh
It's
well,
not
you
your
owe
like
me the
it's not
game. Like, whatever.
it's not your
$1 million.
office fantasy football league where if you win it you get $50 or something like that.
What kind
It's
of
a
game?
big thing.
What kind of leagues are you playing? That $50 the top prize.
Uh college leagues, man. We don't have that much money.
No, I get what you're saying though, and I agree. So I do love that aspect where there's resentment and animosity and tensions don't ever boil over, but they simmer all the way to the end of the game.
Yeah.
And if you get voted out, then you have every right to not let go
Yeah.
of that grudge.
I wouldn't. If someone kind of engineered me getting voted out, I would not like forgive them. I'd be like, okay, even if it was a fantastic blind, I'd be like, okay, you know what? Great move. Still bitter because I'm out of the game now. You know, you can respect someone's gameplay and still be angry about it. It's not a one-way street. So I don't know. We've really gotten off topic from the episode and just talking about the show in general.
Well, look, it's all connected in a way.
Yeah, it is all
Because
connected.
Tiffany is the shining example of that type of player. She's the first jury member, and I can't see it getting any different if the next people to join the jury are maybe Heather. I know you think that she may be a final 3 contestant.
That's
People
what
will just drag her through,
yeah.
which may not be a bad move. If someone like Erica gets voted off soon, she's going to have a lot of resentment because she was put on the outs early, and she's done well to survive to this point, but quickly that tide may flip. The only people I see not being super resentful immediately would be someone like Danny if he got voted out. I think he'll be like, wow, okay, blindside. I got caught off guard, but I respect the gameplay. Fine. If Shan or Ricard go at each other, there's going to be a lot of resentment right there.
Yeah.
Xander, I feel like he feels like he's on the outs, and unless Evie is the
I
reason
think
he got sent
Xander
home.
and Evie kind of see the writing on the wall. So,
But as long as they're not the vote that puts it over the top, that sends each other home, I don't think they'd be that disgruntled about it.
And I also think that they realize it's now 2 against 8. So if one of them has to vote for the other to kind of stay alive, I think they both respect that.
We'll see. I think Heather making the move she did put a big target on her back.
Yeah.
I think that maybe fractured some alliances. I don't think she was ever really in an alliance. I think she was just part of the numbers.
Yeah.
We talk about voting blocks. She's just a number and a block. She's not a part of a core alliance. But there's definitely opportunity for this game to go crazy real fast. The question is, who's going to be the one willing to make the move? Is it Nasir caught some votes, and he probably felt pretty secure in his original Lulu, and now they're maybe turning on him. So maybe he's the one to make the move. That would be great, right? We've talked all along about Nasir and Erica being our picks. Like, what if they ended up working together and completely upend the game next week? That'd be awesome.
That'd be great, yeah. And then, they get to the end and all of a sudden it's you versus me for the final winning right there.
That will never happen for as long as we do this and have many seasons, that we're going to pick someone and they'll be facing in the finals. There's just the odds that are so minimal, but that would be incredible.
That'd be amazing.
We'd have to do a live stream for the finale.
I was going to say we'd have to put money on it too.
Yeah.
We'd have to do something crazy for that because that'd be unbelievable. But I think overall, we covered about as much as we possibly could.
Yep. And there's another episode coming in 2 nights.
2 days, yeah.
We'll be sure to be back, if not Wednesday, Thursday or Friday,
whenever.
Maybe.
Yeah. Definitely not Monday, though.
No.
This was special.
It was a rough weekend.
Yeah. But once again, thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back in the near future, and tune in then.
Thanks.